Last week, many of you left comments on my video that dealt with reaction time loss for older motorcyclists. And as I was reading through those comments, I saw a few that were a recurring theme. I want to talk about one of those things that I saw today. Now, before we get going on today's video, I want to ask you for a favor. If you find the videos that I produce here on MCrider helpful, please hit that subscribe button below. It really does help get the word out to other riders. And if you really like the videos that I produce here at MCrider, please consider becoming a member at mcrider.com. It really is the only way that I can continue developing the videos that I produce for you and give me the time to produce them for you. You know, even under the best of circumstances, aging catches up to all of us. Now, we can slow the effects of aging sometimes by staying in shape, by eating right, and trying to take care of ourselves. But even if we do all the right things, there are no guarantees in life. You know, in life, we just have to play the cards we're dealt, and we don't get to ask for a reshuffle along the way. But there is one thing that we can all do that almost always helps us ride longer, in more control, and safer, and that's riding on the right motorcycle. Now, the right motorcycle for us often changes throughout our riding career. You know, I've talked a lot about the benefits of finding the right motorcycle for a new rider here on MCrider. For new riders, getting the right first motorcycle may make the difference between a lifetime of success on motorcycles and developing your confidence and giving up altogether with motorcycling after just the first year. I've seen it happen. Also, the type and the style of your motorcycle has a big impact on the type of riding you can expect to do with it. If you want to ride off-road and through some backcountry gravel roads or maybe single track, a Harley Road Glide is not the right motorcycle for you. Likewise, if you want to tour on a motorcycle and go on long trips with your spouse on the back, you're better off avoiding the Honda Gras Mile at the dealership. You know, motorcycles are much more so than cars, have a very specific purpose in mind when they're built and the way they're marketed to the public. They're road bikes, they're sport bikes, adventure bikes, and touring bikes, just to name a few. Within each one of these classifications, there are several motorcycles to choose from, and some of those motorcycles are going to attempt to straddle one or more fences as they try to be a motorcycle for several different purposes. And that's what makes motorcycling fun for me. It's why many riders, myself included, have a few different motorcycles in the garage. Choosing the right bike, sitting right over there for me, you know, if I'm going on a long trip, the Indian Challenger is the right tool for the job. If I want to go on a sporty ride on a warm day where I don't need benefits of wind protection, then the Triumph Rocket 3 fits that bill. If I want an easy-to-handle motorcycle that's easy to ride, has old-school cruiser looks, and is the best of the three motorcycles at precision control, the Triumph Speedmaster is the best motorcycle for that job. You know, I really should talk more about that Triumph Speedmaster here on MCrider. It really is an excellent choice for any rider, but also fits the bill for this video in particular. A lot of that depends on what you're riding currently, but it is a huge step down from, you know, the Indian Challenger when I go from one to the next in size and the weight. That Speedmaster handles well, it's got plenty of power, it looks great in my opinion, and it's an overall fun bike to ride. It really is an underrated motorcycle in my opinion, and I just don't see many reviews or talk about it, hear people talking about it here on YouTube or in motorcycle magazines. So maybe I'll do a review on that Speedmaster one of these days because it really is an underrated motorcycle. You know, having such a wide variety of motorcycles to choose from also makes getting into motorcycles a little more confusing for new riders as they're trying to find the right bike for them. For this video, instead of just naming a bunch of specific motorcycles that would work well for an older rider, in my opinion, I thought our time would be best served talking about some of the features of a motorcycle that would be beneficial for older riders. So let me start by saying this, because I know some of you will in the comments, but a trike is one great option for an older rider. It's just not an option for me personally. I have nothing against trikes. To be honest, I've never really ridden one other than a test ride on a Can-Am Spyder, which, you know, I took that test ride several years ago, but I've never ridden a trike conversion like you see a lot of riders riding on. For me, a trike just loses some of the features or some of the things that draws me to motorcycling on two wheels, mostly the maneuverability and the cornering aspects of riding a two-wheel motorcycle. If it's your thing, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not the right thing for me, but it would make a fine option for an aging rider who wants to stay, out in the wind and, keep riding. In last week's video, several of you mentioned in the comments that you were still riding into your 70s and a few of you into your 80s. Many of you mentioned what motorcycle you were riding, and many of those motorcycles had the following characteristics and what I believe are good motorcycles for older riders. So I believe these motorcycles are going to have some of the following characteristics, and a lot of this is going to depend on your personal preference and your size and your experience riding a motorcycle, but this is a good place to start. I would say a lower seat height. This makes a motorcycle easier to get on and off of. It just makes it easier to handle the weight of the motorcycle at stops. A middleweight to smaller motorcycle, both in physical size and cc's of the engine, again, that's easier to handle. It's got less power and less physical strength to handle at stops. Now, I can tell you there's a world of difference between moving my Indian Challenger and moving my Triumph Speedmaster around the shop. Just the physical size of it makes a huge difference, and the weight and weight distribution of the two machines makes a big difference. So even though size of the machine doesn't matter as much when the wheels are rolling, it does matter when things slow down, and moving it around the shop is one of those areas. An older motorcycle is going to look for something that is comfortable. Having a comfortable motorcycle, even though that's a subjective term, makes a huge difference. At 58, I'm already too old to ride an uncomfortable motorcycle, so that one ranks high on my list of motorcycles. And when it comes to looks of a motorcycle, there's no more beautiful motorcycle in the world to me than a Ducati Panigale, and I just love the look of that motorcycle. But you'll never see one here in the garage here at MCrider, because if I owned one, it would require 10 minutes of rehab for every 5 minutes of riding, and I just don't have that kind of time to dedicate to a motorcycle. So while looks are important, looks are not everything, and comfort, as you get older, comfort starts moving up that scale, and it's definitely up there at the top for me. Something else you would be looking for is a good suspension that smooths out the ride. I believe that's going to benefit an older rider. Sporty bikes have sporty suspension that works hard to keep those tires in perfect contact. Keep that contact patch perfectly on the surface of the road. And sometimes that's at the cost of comfort for the rider. It's going to make it a little more firm as you're riding. Wear a plush suspension attempts to keep the effects of the road from reaching the rider. Again, there's a lot of subjectivity when it comes to what's a comfortable suspension for different riders, and your size and weight's going to pay a huge difference in that as well. I wish there were more motorcycles aside from scooters that offered a DCT type transmission, but the DCT that Honda offers is a great benefit for an older rider. It makes the ride more relaxing, and it removes the need for that precise clutch control. Just takes one more thing out of the equation and makes the ride easier to handle. Some of you have simply adapted your riding style with age to the motorcycle that you already own, and there's no problem with that as long as you can safely handle what you own. And for other riders, it would be a huge benefit to you to find the right motorcycle that more easily adapts itself to you. And as we age, sometimes we're out there looking for that motorcycle. When I think of riders in their 70s or 80s still wanting to ride a motorcycle, the sweet spot to me are those small to mid-sized motorcycles on the market, and there are quite a few of them in all different kinds of styles. We already mentioned the Triumph Speedmaster is a perfect example of a cruiser that's great for any rider, but it also checks off a lot of the check boxes for an older rider and the things that they might be looking for. So what did I miss here? Leave some comments below. Talk about the things that make your motorcycle ideal for you as an older rider. And if you're an older rider, tell us what you ride and why, so that others who are looking to transition motorcycles can learn from your experience. As we age, that doesn't necessarily mean we need to hang up the helmet. We can still ride motorcycles. We just need to be smart about it. And sometimes that requires a motorcycle that fits our current needs as riders. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road.